Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by the Lines and Play Picks, coming to you from Oakland, California. Josh Lander, as always, joined by my counterpart on the East Coast, Nate Weitzer. Another good article up on playpicks.com for you guys today. We got a pretty nice slate on this President's Day for today. Just a quick reminder, if you do still need a DraftKings or a FanDuel a sportsbook account, you can head over to dkpicks.com or fdpicks.com and look at the available listings in your area. Go ahead and get us going with those lines for today on Monday the 15th, Nate.
Yes, sir. Watch out for some injury news today. We should see a lot of line movement. Right now, the Bulls are plus 5.5 at Pacers. The Rockets are minus 1.5 at Wizards. The Hawks are minus 2 at Knicks. The Sixers plus 8 with Joel Embiid questionable at the Jazz. Cavs are plus 8.5 at the Warriors. The Heat are plus 3.5 at the Clippers, who should be without Paul George and could be without Kawhi Leonard. The Nets are minus 4 without Kevin Durant at the Kings. So those are two games I'm eyeing, are the Nets Kings and the Sixers Jazz. Those are, high profile games, but we really have to watch the injury news when it comes to Embiid. So Josh, what as of this morning, 10:30 a.m. on the East Coast, what are you looking at putting your money?
Yeah, the game I'm starting with is affected by at least one injury. That's the Rockets visiting the Washington Wizards. Victor Oladipo out for the Rockets. John Wall revenge game a bit. He has been chirping a little bit about how upset he was in the way that Washington handled his exit from the Rockets, which is a little weird considering he did ask for the trade. But at any rate, there is a storyline there. And without Victor Oladipo, I do like John Wall's props. Overall, so if you want something there for John Wall, 37.5 points, rebounds, and assists, you can get that, on FanDuel. And then a triple double for John Wall is plus 2,800 right now, 28-1 on your money. If you want to sprinkle a little bit something on there, if you think he's really going to go all out, I think, in the games where he's talking about bringing that effort, his rebounds and assists should show it. And he'll be able to score without Oladipo in. However, I am still looking at this under, which is still at 228. I did think I was going to get value from the jump before I saw that total. Based on some numbers that I've been seeing recently. Did you know that the Washington Wizards have the 6th best defensive rating in the last 7 games? Very strange. They also have the least amount of points per game, and they're 30th in the league in points per game in their last 7. They're 3-4 in that time frame, which is better than they've been playing for sure. But I'll also say the Rockets are 1-6 in that moment and in that 7-game span as well. They're also very bad on defense right now, they're a little bit better on defense, but they're terrible on offense. They are the 29th team in terms of points per game in their last 7. Both teams are shooting a horrible 3-point percentage. So I'm taking the under there, but I am going to look at some John Wall props.
Yeah, I love that angle with the under. Wizards on the second half of a back-to-back. They might not have Westbrook, so they might just slow it down. They won't have Ish Smith either. That kind of takes away some of that spark plug. I'm a little wary of Wall going off or really trusting the Rockets to do anything the way they're playing offense right now. It's almost like they're a college team running the 3-man weave 30 feet from the basket, hoping to get anything going. And I would definitely look at the Wizards, who have actually turned things around defensively lately and are starting to buy in, them to either cover the spread or to keep the game under and kind of slow it down to their advantage on a back-to-back set. A game that will not be slowed down under any circumstances is the Sacramento Kings on the second half of a back-to-back against the Nets. And the Kings' defensive woes are back, Josh. They were up to 10th in defensive rating for a little bit, won 6 of their last 7. Now they've lost 3 straight. They're 22nd in defensive rating over their last 4. And we know the numbers. When they're at home, they give up 120.8 points per game. Overall, they give up the most points per game in the paint. They are 29th in defensive efficiency, and they do not usually perform well when they're underdogs at home, despite their record last year. They're 3-7 against the spread in that situation, whereas the Nets are 6-3 against Western Conference teams. They are lighting it up lately since giving James Harden the keys to the offense. He's averaging 12 assists per game over his last 8, and he averages 35.3 points per game over his last 8 against the Kings. So what I'm looking at, rather than going over a huge 240, I'm just trusting the Nets to get over their 121, which they've been doing pretty routinely since getting Harden on track with the ball in his hands more often. So I like them to go over against a tired Kings team. If you want to take the full total over 240, more power to you.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous of it, but I'm definitely following your thought process there with the Kings and how bad they're struggling. The only thing I will say, if you're looking for any value in terms of a prop there, De'Aaron Fox is averaging nearly 30 points and 9 assists in his last 6 or 7 games or so. He's been hot despite the team's performance. He was hot when they started playing well. He's remained hot even as they're playing poorly. So you might be able to find some value there in a really bad Nets team. Moving on to one more game I like that has a couple of those East Coast squads, Nate. The Knicks and the Hawks. Honestly, I don't know that we ever thought that we would say DeAndre Hunter was so important to the Hawks. But when we look at how well he was playing on defense, maybe the Hawks were playing on defense. We might have been giving too much credit to Clint Capella. Without DeAndre Hunter, all those defensive numbers have dropped. They're 1-4 in their last 5, and they have the 26th defensive rating. Without Hunter in general, they're 2-6. Their net rating overall drops to about -5. So they're really missing him. And, against the Knicks, who don't allow points, we all know the numbers in terms of how they slow it down and how well they've been playing. Honestly, overall, their defensive rating is second in the league in the last 5 or 6 games, which is where they expect to be. So, I know we both are talking about taking those points, but you really can find some pretty good value with the Knicks money line if you do like them to win outright, which I know we both do.
Yeah, or even an alternate spread to say they'll cover like 3 or 4 points. The Hawks just really struggling right now on both ends. And yeah, I mean, they gave up 62 paint points to Indy last time out, which is not a particularly efficient team down low. And the Knicks are. The Knicks also not giving up anything on their end in the paint, especially with Nerlens Noel starting, with Mitchell Robinson out. He's an even better defender, one of the best shot blockers in the league. They're second in defensive rating over their last 5. And I think they cover in this one, definitely, if not pull out the win outright. So the Jazz and Sixers game, I mean, we just have to watch for Embiid all day. The Sixers are only 1-4 when he doesn't play. They have about a 10-point difference in terms of net rating. They're not going to have any chance against the hottest team in the league without their MVP candidate healthy. I do think if he's healthy, that they keep it close enough to push this game over, because, I mean, you can trust the Jazz to score for sure. They're averaging 120.8 their last 5. They're getting 33 points per game in the fourth quarter. If this is a close game in the fourth quarter, Philly's going to have to match points. They're not going to be able to just shut down this red-hot Jazz offense. And the Sixers have kind of turned up their offense on the road lately. I know their numbers are usually down on the road, but they're averaging 117 over their last 4 on this road trip. And Embiid just piles up the free throw attempts, which is lovely for the over. He gets 10.8 on the road, and he's averaging 12.3 free throw attempts over his last 7. So I do think they can get over this and also cover an 8-point spread, which we've seen the Sixers really rise to the challenge when they think they're underdogs. We saw them beat the Lakers outright, and I think they try to make a statement in Utah tonight.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about how they play on the road, obviously, but I'm definitely with the over there. Without Embiid, you also might be able to find that over pretty enticing as well, since he'll be out of the middle, clogging things up on defense. A quick hit that I'm also watching, who's playing similar to that Embiid game in Philly, is the Clippers and Heat. We've got no Paul George. The line started at about +5.5 for the Heat at home. Without Paul George for sure, and then maybe no Kawhi. That has dropped to about 3.5, as I think people are sort of going along the same route that I am, which is hedge that even if Kawhi does play, he's going to be a little bit hampered. The Heat are not the same team that they've been all season since they have Jimmy Butler back. They are 8-6 with him this year, despite even when he was playing at the beginning of the year, having an incredibly slow start. So they're still 8-6 with him on the season, winners of their last 4, just other than that blowout when they ran into the buzzsaw that is the Jazz on Friday night. But I like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and take that play that right now at about 4 points. Take the Heat there, assuming that even if Kawhi plays, he's a little bit injured.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm really ready to trust the Heat yet, but go for it. And in that game, I will be targeting some DFS options with George out. I'll be looking at Lou Williams, Marcus Morris, stepped up in usage. We mentioned that Knicks game with DeAndre Hunter out. I kind of like RJ Barrett as a mid-tier play. I think he can knife through that defense. And Nerlens Noel is going to be starting. He's only 4.8K. As far as the big guns, I'm either looking at a stack with James Harden and De'Aaron Fox. We mentioned both primed for big games and a huge point total. Or you can look at the narrative and maybe use John Wall, pair him with Bradley Beal, hope that Houston and Washington get into a bit more of an exciting shootout than we're predicting. But those guys a little cheaper, so that stack can afford you more flexibility.
Good stuff, Nate. I know we'll be playing a little head-to-head tonight. As always, remember to like and subscribe for us if we're bringing you some of those winners and you're having fun with us. Jump in those comments. We're enjoying talking to you guys about what everybody's taking each night. And we will be back with another nice NBA slate for you guys tomorrow. As for tonight, happy betting.